We get started in just.
Yes.
Where we'll try to begin. Plenty of opportunity to walk in. Yes.
I did a meeting the day after that's how Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah, that's, we typically will cancel any scheduled meeting.
Yeah, and they're like, no, I know, it's 30, and they maybe like halfway through the 10 showed up.
Yeah, never had that holiday weekend.
After a holiday. They're like,
Oh, yeah.
that's funny, especially Memorial Day, right?
Yeah, Labor Day weekend is really late this year. I guess it's September 7th or something like that. So we have an exceptionally long summer. Per se.
Well, it feels like it.
Well, yeah, it's up, so.
Give me 7 more days, that seems longer.
Christina's here. I saw you walking in with your sunglasses, like walking the red carpet.
I don't want to go like a woman.
Well, good morning, everybody. How are you today? Thanks for coming. Yes. So thanks for joining us today for today's Disclosure Clarity Seminar presented in partnership with Property ID, which is celebrating its 50th year anniversary. Let's give it a hand for that. We're fortunate to have our guest speaker joining us via Zoom with Christina Guerra from Property ID here in person to host and make sure that we're well taken care of. Today, we are honored to welcome Mailana, who is an attorney, and she spoke with us once before, and she's very entertaining, I have to say. With more than 26 years of experience focused specifically on NHD law and property disclosures. Based in San Francisco, in the San Francisco Bay Area, she concentrates on protecting us from non-disclosure lawsuits, and for over 2 decades, brokers, real estate agents, and real estate attorneys contact her on a regular basis in regards to disclosure issues. So this morning's program will walk us through CalFire Map 101, real-world lawsuits and case studies, Assembly Bill 38 made easy, and practical tips to avoid litigation, followed by a live Q&A to answer your specific questions. And we're also going to ask her to review the form FHDS, which causes confusion for everybody, especially our clients. So please welcome Mailana. Let's give her a hand.
Thank you, Richard. It's my pleasure to be with you again. Hello.
Well,
So wow, that was such a lovely introduction, and I just hope I can live up to it. So thank you for having me. Actually, on a side note, do you guys know where the St. Paul Greek Orthodox Church in Irvine is?
Yes.
You do? Oh, okay. Oh, because I do a Bible study and I was on it last night, and it's in Irvine, and I'm so looking forward to visiting it one day. And when I do, I'm gonna pop in and say hello to you too. So there you go. I'm going to jump in and share with you a little story. So thank you for mentioning that Property ID is celebrating its 50th birthday. 50 years ago, Carlos Siderman, who is the CEO of Property ID, started the company. And he was interviewing lawyers, and he interviewed me, and we were talking, and I asked him, I'm like, how'd you get in this business, this natural hazard disclosure business? And he said that, he's from Argentina. And when he was growing up in Argentina, he would watch this show called The Hillybillies. It took me a minute to figure out, the Beverly Hillbillies, but he was calling it The Hillybillies with his heavy accent, right? And he said he thought that show was extraordinary because here they were, these Hillybillies, and they struck oil and all of a sudden they became, billionaires. And he said in Argentina, if you strike oil, what happens is the government comes and takes your property and throws your ass out. And so he's like, while he was in Argentina, he was like, wow, what an amazing country America is. And so he immigrated to America and he started this company, Property ID, 50 years ago, preparing feasibility reports. So, for those of you who know or don't know, a feasibility report is basically a very detailed land use viability report on large scale real estate projects. So, it's very detailed. It's like 12 inches thick. And he was telling me that a very successful broker at a very famous real estate brokerage in Malibu called him up and said, can you come and have a meeting with me at my office? He said, of course. So he arrives at her office and she's got two stacks on her desk and she's sitting between the two stacks. She puts her hand on the first stack and says, this is your feasibility report that I've been reviewing. And I pulled out 10 pages from this big report. Because if I had these 10 pages, I wouldn't have this stack of lawsuits on my desk. So she said this brokerage is being sued, but if she had provided just these 10 pieces of paper during the escrow process, her brokerage would not be, it was like basically 7 lawsuits. So she said, going forward, this is 50 years ago. Going forward, she said, would you be able to provide these 10 site-specific disclosures on each one of my brokerage's residential real estate transactions? And he said, of course. That is how the natural hazard disclosure industry was born. So I wanted to share that with you because at its roots and in its heart, Property ID has always been on a mission to disclose and provide feasibility information. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because at the end, not now, but at the end, I'm going to share with you something that you're going to absolutely love. And it is a listing tool for you. But we're not going to talk about that now because you have to have the meat and potatoes before you can have the dessert. So, isn't that how it works? How can you eat your meat if you don't have any pudding? How can you eat your meat, right? Pink Floyd, isn't that how it goes? For those of you old enough to know that song. All right. So first and foremost, let's talk about my least favorite F word. And that is the FHDS. And here we go. Let me go to it. Where is that awful thing? Aha, here it is. There it is. So this, I think I shared it with you last time that to answer this question here, local compliance requirement, property is or is not subject to a local vegetation management ordinance. The answer is always is, unless your listing is in San Francisco, in which the answer is not. And why is that? Because every city and county in the state of California has a local vegetation management ordinance except San Francisco. Now, it gets dicey when you go to B. This form defaults to seller is unaware of whether the property is in compliance. Well, you can only default to number 1 if you and your seller have not completed a defensible space inspection. Because if the property has passed, leaving 2 or 3 blank is error, right? If the property is in compliance, the firefighters came over, they inspected, this is the right answer. If the firefighters came over and said, wow, your property sucks, no, this is the right answer. So that's going to depend on where you are. If you complete this form before a defensible space inspection has been completed, then that is the only case where defaulting to number 1 is unaware. So for section 3, it all depends on where you are in the world. And the reason I'm sharing that with you is because throughout the state of California, there's going to be different rules. For example, in Ventura, you know how they say when in Rome, do as the Romans? Well, that applies to AB 38. In Ventura, for example, you are as a seller, you are required to schedule your defensible space inspection. Actually, everywhere you're supposed to schedule the defensible space inspection. But in Ventura, if your property does not pass, we're talking about Ventura County. If your property doesn't pass, then the local vegetation management ordinance requires that you bring the property into compliance within 30 days or before the close of escrow, whichever comes first. If you are forever, for whatever reason, unable to bring the property into compliance before the close of escrow, the FHDS is irrelevant because the local vegetation management ordinance requires the buyer to bring the property into compliance within 60 days after the close of escrow, right? And so everywhere you go in California, it's a little bit different, okay? Some jurisdictions will do it with sticks and stones, and other jurisdictions are a little bit more advanced. In Los Angeles, so the fire department, I've been going toe to toe with them because the fire department on its own has decided we're not going to inspect if you're in a high fire zone. So if you're in a high fire zone, just don't call us. Well, the fire department, by doing this, is exposing the seller and listing agent to liability. And I have told them so. I said, here's the law, AB 38. Clearly, it says if the property is in high or very high fire, the seller and the listing agent are required to conduct a defensible space inspection, comply with AB 38. They said, yeah, we're not coming. So this is something very important to keep in mind. They can't get sued. So if they say they're not coming, and there's not much you can do about it, except cover your ass in writing, right? Try to get it in writing so that you can forward it to the buyer's agent and say, we tried to schedule a defensible space inspection. They're not coming, and I can't make them come. How about that? So let me share with you a little bit about. So here is a property ID report for a property on Golden Eagle in Irvine. And the reason I'm sharing this one with you is because this property was not in high or very high fire before CalFire updated its maps, and now it is. So here is the very first page, and this is the super sexy and exciting smart one-page NHD. Anywhere you touch it, fun things happen. But before I get to fire, because I have ADD, I've got to share this with you because I always forget this, and it's so important. Right here is the future tax estimator, and I'm going to share with you because this is so fabulous for when you are representing a buyer. So it's giving me, holy smoke, previous assessed value, $14,280,000. Wow, you guys have some fancy neighborhoods going on there in Irvine. I'm going to go visit St. Paul soon. Anyway, $14 million is the previous assessed value. So I, as the buyer, I am offering 15 million. Okay? And I have entered my offer here. And now I'm going to enter my estimated closing date. Let's do 4th of July celebration. Okay? Here is my purchase price. Here is our estimated closing date. I hit calculate, and it will automatically give me and my buyers an idea that this is what the annual estimated property tax is going to look like. Soon after the close of escrow, I have to come up with an extra 6,800. So very cool, super easy. Remind me to share this with you. Okay, so I got that out of the way. Now I can discuss this one right here. You schedule your defensible space inspection by clicking there. AB 38 compliance is required. You can click that and go to my version of AB 38 FHDS, and you can actually from here go right to the CalFire map. And I'm going to enter this address, 47 Golden Eagle, Irvine. Oh, I'm typing and nothing is happening. Forgive me. 47 Golden Eagle in Irvine. So there it is. Right from the report, I went right to the map. And again, I will share with you. It is right here. So how do I do this? I'm going to go to view results. Okay. And the fire protection district, there's the local vegetation management. This is the fire protection district. I'm going to go right there. It's the Orange County Fire Authority, right? There's their phone number. And from here, I'm going to go right to their website. And of course, from the first page, you can do this, but I'm just sharing with you because I know that there's so much information here. And I want you to show you that there are several different ways to find the same thing. And I'm going to go defensible space. So here it's going to give me the defensible space FAQ. I can click there. The defensible space disclosure. We can go right there. And it's going to give me all kinds of information. So first question, does the Orange County Fire Authority conduct inspections in any city in Orange County? No. Fullerton, Brea, Anaheim, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, and Orange are outside of the Orange County Fire Authority. So, I mean, I'm sharing this with you so that you can kind of understand that it's all different and it's all confusing. And it's kind of rude that AB 38 expects you to kind of know this. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because the property ID report will always have all the information and the right information. So when you've got a question, you have me to help you. And again, I want to share with you just so real quick so you can see. Here you are in your property ID report. And you go, I actually have no idea what to do. So when you go to here, you can email us orders@propertyd.com and say, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Can you help me out? Or, I mean, I'm going to give you my, actually, I'm going to email this report to you along with several other things that I'm going to share with you today so that you'll have my email address and all you got to do is just email me. Okay, because there's a lot of information and you should not ever have to try to figure it out on your own. And I mean, I just want to share with you real quick. I do get this often where there is another report and a TC or an agent will email me and say, can you please help us understand the local vegetation management ordinance and what we need to do with AB 38. If it's not a property ID report, I can't help you. And the reason for that is basically you're going to be tasking me with an hour's worth of work. I'm not doing it. But in the property ID report, I can walk you through it. I can walk your transaction coordinators through it so that they can know for next time if they want, they can do it by themselves, but you can email me every time. I'm happy to help you. It's my pleasure. So I want to share with you something that Christina created for you, and here it is. This is the Easy Has Check. So Easy Has Check is a fun little tool. This is not the dessert, by the way. The dessert is coming. This is just kind of preliminarily. So somebody give me an address. Anybody, give me an address.
Jay? What? Do you have a property address when you're listening?
Yeah, give me any property address.
I have a good one.
You do? Go ahead. Go ahead.
1170 North Englewild,
Say it again.
1170 North Englewild, Englewild.
Englewild in Glendora.
Yep, very high fire zone in LA.
Okay. So, well, he already knows the answer. I like you, smarty pants. That's the way to do it.
Thank you.
You never want to speak up unless you know the answer. So I don't know why it's taking a minute. Wow, this property must have a lot of things going on. Okay, so imagine you are going to a listing presentation for this property, right? It helps if you bring the seller a little bit of value and say, before I came here today, unlike other agents who showed up with their good looks and a couple of comps, I'm bringing you some value. I'm bringing you some details. I'm bringing you some information, and it has your name on it right there, right? So, your home seller is located in a fire zone, and so AB 38 is required, and so we're going to have to get ahead of this, right? We're going to have to schedule the defensible space inspection. We're going to have to complete that form, my least favorite F word, and that's the kind of service you're going to get with me. Now, if you're representing a buyer and a buyer tells you, I looked up these 25 houses last night on the internet and I want to see them all today. I don't want to be in a fire zone. Well, maybe this property on Englewild Drive in Glendora isn't the right one. So why don't we print this out and let's plan our route accordingly rather than run around town looking. Let's enter each one of these addresses here in my office with over a cup of tea and let's figure out what we want to do here. So I'm going to enter another address. I'm going to enter this one, 833. And Christina is going to show you how to download this app on your phone. So I'm entering this one in Anaheim because I want to share with you something. Okay, so the reason I'm sharing this one with you is because I never want you to be surprised in front of your clients. You'd never want to look like you don't know. You always want to be the smarty pants and know things before things come out of your mouth. So this property is located in some kind of a fire zone, federal, state, and or local. AB 38 is not required. Huh? What? Well, this property is located in some other fire zone that does not trigger AB 38. So let me share with you an example. This is the Eaton Fire Map. This red zone is the very high fire severity zone. All right. If your listing is here, You're going to schedule the defensible space inspection. Your seller's going to complete that vomit inducing, form, the AB 38 FHDS. Your buyer is going to pay an arm and a leg in insurance. There it is. Very high fire zone. The yellow area is what actually burned in the Eaton fire. This peach zone right here, this is what's called the wildland urban interface. Nobody gave two hoots about the wildland urban interface before the LA fires. But after the LA fires, because so much of Los Angeles the fire burned, went beyond the very high fire zone and into wildland urban interface, all of a sudden the New York Times, the LA Times, the San Francisco Chronicle, everybody was very interested in wildland urban interface. It was all over the news. Only Property ID discloses wildland urban interface, and it has been doing this for the past 14 years. So that home that I shared with you on Orchid Lane in Anaheim would probably fall somewhere here if this map were of Anaheim. It would be in this peach zone because it's not in very high fire, but it is located in some other high fire zone that does not trigger AB 38. I'm going to share with you a house right here. This is Valley Lights Drive in Pasadena. This home was not in the very high fire hazard severity zone, but it is in the wildland urban interface. Here is the property ID report for this house on Valley Lights Drive in Pasadena. Do you see that this is an 87-page report? I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of small. Well, normal human beings will not read all 87 pages of this report. They will not. Normal people will only read this page right here. And what are normal people going to find out? No, 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 no. In my 27 years of experience, there are only 3 types of people that will read all 87 pages of this report. These are the people who want to spend 20 minutes on the phone with me going over every page. Can you guess who those abnormal people are? Lawyers, engineers, and realtors, but only when the realtor is buying a home for their child. Those are the only people that will read beyond this page. They will read all 87 pages. So because of the fact that I know that nobody is reading this report, I'm sorry they're not. I want to share with you so that you can see this house. If the buyer of this home received a property ID report, you see it doesn't say schedule inspection, it doesn't say AB 38 compliance, because it is not in the AB 38 triggering zone. When you go into the report, only in a property ID report did the buyer of this home receive this disclosure. Okay, you're not in, but you're pretty darn close, sister. You are in a high fire severity zone risk rating. You are in a wildland urban interface, that peach zone, on not one map, but 2. One issued by the U.S. Forest Service and one issued by the state of California. And you are in a high tree mortality threat. So the state of California has gone around the state and mapped out the neighborhoods that have a very high concentration of dead trees because of drought, because of bark beetle infestation. What is a dead tree to a fire? Yes, that's right. All those smarty pants out there. It's fuel. So only in a property ID report did the buyer of this home receive 5 different ways. Hey, you are in an area that has a high propensity for fire. I am sharing this with you because I have heard coming out of the mouths of other NHD company representatives, don't use property ID because property ID includes a lot of fluff disclosure that you don't need. Bullshit. You know, I can't even begin to tell you how angry that makes me because you know, and I know that lawsuits do not happen in the black or the white. Lawsuits happen in the gray. And in the history of real estate lawsuits, and in the future of real estate lawsuits, not one buyer will ever sue because they received disclosures before the close of escrow. No, the opposite is true. The number one reason agents get sued is non-disclosure. So I know that you do not have the time to look at 5 different NHD reports for one house and compare them side by side together. So I did it for you. But the law expects you to know these differences, just so you know. And we'll go over the law in a minute. So this company got one right. Bravo. Good job. Nice work. They got one right. But they did not bother to include all of these other disclosures. And let me share with you something. This is not like super secret NASA, CIA vaulted information. No, this is available to you. This is available to the buyer's lawyer. This is available to anybody. Why do these companies not include anything beyond this? Why? Why do you think? They just did the one disclosure and that's it. Why? Because they don't have to. They don't have to. Why the hell should they stick their neck out for you? Property ID doesn't have to either. But Property ID understands and has been business for 50 years. We know how lawyers think and we know how they work. So imagine the buyer of this house happened to be watching the news lately and saw a map of wildland urban interface, tree mortality go up on the TV, and the buyer sees her neighborhood and says, wow, my neighborhood is right in this wildland urban interface. Who is she going to call? She's not going to call this company. She's going to call her agent. And she's going to say, I was watching the news and I saw this map of the wildland urban interface up on the TV, and I saw my neighborhood, and I see that my house is in this wildland urban interface. Nobody told me this. I would have liked to know this. And you know what her realtor is going to say? Oh, you need to call this company because they're the ones who do the fire disclosure. So a little bit annoyed at this point, the buyer is going to call this company because this is the report she received. And she's going to say, you didn't disclose the wildland urban interface to me. And they're going to say, aha, because we don't have to. We did our job. So the buyer will then go on to Facebook and moan and groan and maybe see this ad, which, by the way, there are hundreds of them. Hey, Los Angeles fire victims, we are here to help. We are experienced California wildfire attorneys. 364 likes. Right? And something very important to remember is that the lawyer will not sue the NHD company because the NHD company is not subject to California Civil Code Section 2079.16. but you are. California Civil Code Section 2079.16 says this. You, as a realtor, have a duty to disclose all facts materially affecting the value or desirability of the property that are known to you or which through reasonable diligence should be known to you. Well, what's reasonable diligence? How about knowing the differences between disclosure reports? So, I mean, I didn't mean to pick on them. I'll pick on everybody. I'm an equal opportunity annoyer. So this company got two right. Oh, bravo. Well done. Nice work. Didn't bother to include any of these other disclosures. This company got one right. Why should they stick their neck out for you? Why should they face liability? Because if they get any of this wrong, they could be sued for that. This company got one right and one wrong. The law expects you to know the differences between disclosure reports. Here it is. California Civil Code Section 1103. A seller's agent. Okay? Let's get something clear here. It doesn't say escrow officer. It doesn't say transaction coordinator. It doesn't say your mother-in-law. It says you, boo. You are the one who bears the burden of making this disclosure, and you are the one who will assume liability. So if your transaction coordinator or your mother-in-law or your escrow officer is ordering your reports for you, that is okay, so long as they are doing it at your direction, because none of those people will ever shield you from liability, because the law names you. A seller's agent shall is the highest directive in the law. It means this is how it will happen. Disclose to any prospective buyer. Who is any prospective buyer? Any prospective buyer is anybody in the world. Any prospective buyer could be sitting in Wyoming in her jammies looking at your listing in La Habra. I grew up in La Habra. I went to La Habra High School. Go Highlanders. Anyway, you don't know she exists. You don't know she exists. And yet you are legally required to give her these disclosures. This is the law. And when are you supposed to give her these disclosures? You are supposed to give her these disclosures as soon as practicable, before the prospective buyer's execution of the contract. For the purposes of this subdivision, execution means the making or acceptance of an offer, and you are supposed to choose the NHD report in good faith. I know that you do not know this, and I have a couple of lawsuits to share with you. Northern California realtors have had their asses sued over and over and over again, and I'm going to share a couple of these lawsuits with you. The reason I am sharing this with you is because the law expects you to know. And hold on a second. And I was going somewhere with this and I lost my lawsuits. Okay, I'll find them in a minute. So the law expects you to know the differences in disclosure reports, and the law expects you to understand in with reasonable diligence what you're doing. So the way it happens in Northern California is an agent will take a listing, and the minute they take the listing, they will order a property ID report and upload it to the MLS with a note. Hey, all you prospective buyers in Wyoming, in your jammies, here is the disclosures return it signed with your offer. And the reason why it's done that way in Northern California is because they're sick and tired of getting sued. So when you have buyers submitting their offer with signed disclosures, they cannot come in the middle of the escrow and say, I'm buying this property on Golden Eagle in Irvine. I did not know about this Shady Canyon fault. And if I had known, I wouldn't have bought this property. But here we are now in the middle of escrow. So seller, I want you to give me a $20,000 credit because of this fault. I didn't know that the Coyote Canyon fault is so close to this property. And I know that all the debris from the LA fires is going into the landfills throughout the state. And I want a $30,000 credit, seller. I didn't know about this endangered bird and the liquefaction. I don't want to buy this house. I'm not doing it. So by giving the disclosure report to the buyers before they make their offers, and you know it, a buyer's agent is going to tell you, hey, we're going to make an offer. Give them the disclosure and say, here's the TDS, here's the NHD, here's the SBQ. Have your buyer sign all these disclosures and give them all to me. I want the offer with all the disclosures signed. That way, you eliminate cancellations. You eliminate a buyer's ability to ask for credits. So let me share with you a couple of lawsuits. Here we go. This one, Easton versus Strasburger, right? Desirability. What the hell is that? A buyer can sue you for I don't want, and do they? They do. This one, wait, hold on, Christina. What are you saying? So a buyer, okay, 15 minutes, a couple. Okay, so here we go. Sorry, Christina's texting me. All right, I'm going to skip this then. Cleckley versus Coldwell Banker. Basically, the buyer found out after the close of escrow that the property was near a landslide and said, I never would have desired to be in a landslide zone, and got $1 million for I don't want. Bandolin versus Sohei. So this lady bought a house. She received a property ID report, and I'm sure she didn't read it. 2 years later, she decided she wanted to sell her house. So she retained listing agent Peter Narodny from the brokerage Frank Howard Allen, and this brokerage doesn't exist anymore. Peter ordered this report, which also doesn't exist anymore. This lady bought the house, and 9 months after the close of escrow, she filed a whole bunch of things were not disclosed in the TDS. And that's the important thing, is if something is wrong or missing in the TDS, the buyer can only sue for cost to repair, cost to replace. But if something is wrong or missing in the NHD report, the buyer can sue for the entire value of the property. And that's the trick right there, guys. Non-disclosures on the TDS are a stepping stone for a fat lawsuit for the entire value of the property for things that are missing from the NHD. So the buyer's lawyer argued, wait a minute, the seller received a property ID report that was full of disclosures. Well, the seller has a duty to disclose actual knowledge. Even if she didn't read this report, it makes no difference. The fact that she provided a report that was less inclusive than the property ID is fraud by concealment. This one, oh, it's so complicated. This report was wrong. And of course, the buyer sued the listing agent. The buyers never sue the disclosure company. They always sue the listing agent and listing brokerage. And the listing agent was like, hey, I didn't prepare the NHD report. They prepared the NHD report. And, they never returned the listing agent's call. And the reason I know this is because his lawyer called me. And he said, hey, I'm representing a realtor who's getting sued because of an NHD report. Can you send me a property ID report? And I was like, I don't have reports flying out of my ears. I'm going to have to order it like you, buddy. So he ordered the report and filed a property ID report, filed a cross complaint against this company to pull them into the lawsuit. And in their answer, they said agents are barred from recovery and not covered under any insurance policy because the insurance policy covers title. So one more, there's so many, but we're going to just use this one right here. Field versus Century 21 Cloden Fornes. The court ruled when an agent makes a statement not knowing if it's true, the statement is false, and that's fraud. And I'm sharing this with you because it's such a precarious line you guys have to live on, because you're supposed to speak up, but you can't say too much. And so I'm going to email you this language. The way I would present this is I would email this. Your email is your evidence, right? I would email this to a buyer with these words. Hey, my wonderful buyer, attached is the property ID report. Please read it carefully. If you have any questions, you can chat with them from this report. You can call them. You can email me your questions and I will forward them to Mailana, who is a disclosure lawyer, and she'll provide information for us in writing. That email is evidence of your fiduciary duty. It's evidence you've provided complete disclosure. It's evidence that you've reminded them this is really important. And if you have any questions, you need to talk to Property ID, and it's evidence that you've directed them to me. I prepared this report, so you should let me explain it. So, all right. So I'm going to share like 10 minutes to share with you this super sexy and exciting thing I want to share with you. So I started with the Hillybillies, right? Property ID, Carlos Siderman, the founder of the NHD industry and Property ID. So he's always had his passion for feasibility and always provided information. So what he's noticed is that listings today are the exact same thing as they were 30 years ago. That's it. There's no innovation. If you look at a listing for this property at 47 Golden Eagle in Irvine, it's going to be the same as it was 30 years ago, except maybe photo quality, right? So the photos are better. That's it. Other than that, it's the exact same thing. 3-bed, 3-bath, formal dining room, that's it. So what Property ID has done is taken notice of the fact that sellers are the same. They want top dollar. Listings are the same. But what has changed today? Buyers. Buyers are different. Buyers want more. Buyers have changed so much that they're looking, since COVID, buyers are looking, what can I do on my property? Can I work here? Can I start a side hustle? Can I build an ADU? Can I add square footage? What can I do on my property? So giving them this information up front when you list, you're giving buyers of today something more. And that is why Property ID has launched nakedhouse.ai, okay? Not .com. nakedhouse.ai. And if you go to nakedhouse.com, you're going to get an eyeful of something that has nothing to do with real estate. So I can't help you if you go there. All I can say is don't go there. So go to nakedhouse.ai, and I'm going to share this real quick with you. Here we go.
Naked House Introduction. Welcome to Naked House, the good news report. At Naked House, we believe every parcel holds hidden value. Our purpose is to uncover it, structure it, and present it in a way that drives smarter decisions and stronger outcomes. Naked House, the good news report designed to reveal the property rights and allowed uses by analyzing the development potential already owned by the land. This report transforms a standard listing into a powerful, data-driven presentation of what a property can become legally, creatively, and financially. Naked House doesn't just show what exists. It shows what's possible. Naked House, the good news report, a product of Property ID. It's a land-based value analysis that reveals the allowed square footage to build, the number of units permitted, ADU allowances, and more. It also highlights key regulations like height limits, property line distance, and zoning rates. Top agents sell the property, not just the house. This report gives agents a powerful advantage by helping their listings stand out and showcase the full hidden value of the property. Click the link below to see a sample report.
Okay, so if you go to nakedhouse.ai, there is a sample report, and this is actually the sample report. So this is what actually exists in the real world. This is the potential it could be. This is what's possible. So the Naked House report gives buyers useful information they want in a way that they can understand. So this property, by right, is allowed a maximum floor area of 9,490 square feet. And I'm going to go to, it has ADU allowances and allowable uses. Now, here I am, I'm a buyer, and I'm looking to do some kind of a side hustle. Aha! I can open up a dance studio. Now, here is the law that says I can open up a dance studio. This is the local law. But keep in mind, okay, that if I decide I'm going to open up a strip club, well, just because it's zoned to allow dance doesn't mean I can throw up a pole and invite all my good-looking friends and say, come on, guys, get to work. I have a mortgage to pay. Let's go. Doesn't mean I'm going to get to do that, right? Because there are regulations about, strip clubs or what kind of a dance studio. But basically, this is what it's zoned to allow. And I'm going to go to the ADU regulations. I can build, if I have a single family house, I can also add an ADU plus a junior ADU. So it's going to give me all this detailed information, setbacks, developmental scenarios, all these considerations. It's going to give me this buildable property outline area, site plan. So this green represents the yellow represents what you own, and this is the buildable area, and this is the volume of what can be built. So let me share that with you. Let me go to the website so that you can see nakedhouse.ai, please, not .com. And you can order a report there. You can pull up the sample report I just shared with you. Let's see. How can I order it? I can order it right from here. But if you go to the Property ID website and I go to products, you see that the Naked House report is $139. That's a steal. Going to the county to pull this information, you'd have to pay somebody at least $500 for their time. If you order it bundled with a property ID, it's $199 for both. If you already have a property ID report for your listing, you can retroactively ask Christina to get you this information. Imagine you go to a listing presentation, right? And you're showing the seller this report. And by the way, I'm going to send this to you. So you'll have it, right? And you show the seller this and you say this is this product, it's called Naked House. It shows and it's not naked as in trashy, it's naked in, there is a mother parcel that was divided and each parcel is born, naked with its rights. And you show this to the seller and you say, this is what I'm going to get for you because this is what you've got and this is how we're going to get top dollar for it, right? Now your seller is seeing you as an agent who is innovative. You're informed. You're prepared. You're showing the seller, this is how I'm going to use AI to market your property. And it shows that you're capable of attracting buyers that are going to pay what this property is worth. So, do you have any questions?
Is that something we would add as an additional document to the MLS listing?
Absolutely. Good job. Yes. Well done, Smarty Pants. And that's how I would do it. I would upload it to the MLS with, this is the supplemental report. Here you go. This is what it is. This is what you can do with it. I mean, think about buyers who are scrolling through, listings. Everything is the same. But this is showing the buyer, oh my gosh, I can build an ADU. Now the buyer is emotionally attached to this property, to your listing, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And the beauty, guys, is that you don't have to pay up front. So just like with the NHD, if you're going on a listing, you get a listing, you order the NHD, you can do the same with the report. So pay through the close of escrow. You guys have your in-house escrow or your preferred escrow? Yes.
Does it include the cost estimate for what the potential for the properties at that time? I know the cost changes year to year, but.
Not the cost, because I know my hubby's in a construction, so pricing of material changes daily the way it is now. Yeah. So the cost, not the cost, but the actual, the rights. It's amazing, guys. This is such an amazing tool. And we had a presentation at Spoons last week, and some of the agents there were speaking with us on how they would use the square footage rights in the MLS and things like that, and then have it at their open house as well to attract the buyers. Can you show Mailana the vacant land as well and the commercial one?
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so let me get there. Here is a vacant parcel.
So cool.
This is the real world. This is what it has the potential to be. And again, and this is the max floor area, all the allowable uses, and anywhere that's blue, if you click on it, it's going to take you there. Let me share with you the commercial. This is the real world. This is what it has the potential to be. So, I mean, I am a person that has no vision. I have no vision at all. I couldn't look at this and figure out what else can I do with this. But I see this visual here, and I can say, wait a minute, I can rent out these spaces. I could make this a yoga studio. I can make it a hair salon, and I can work down here too. There's so much that this report has that shares with you what you can do. So for those of you who are on Zoom, I don't have your email addresses because I'm going to email this report to you. I'm going to email you the Naked House. I'm going to email you Golden Eagle. I'm going to email you that wording, and so that you will have access to me. And again, make sure you tell your TC and your escrow officer what you want because they can't read your mind. Surprise. So you need to tell them, this is what I want. And I'm available to you guys. If you have any more questions, and if you have questions, you can email me. Please don't call me on your divorces.
I do have one question, Mailana. And you made a blanket statement in regards to local vegetation management ordinance that every single municipality in California has a local vegetation management.
Except San Francisco.
Okay, I looked up Irvine, for example, and it's indicating that it doesn't. So I'm just curious. Where does
Wait. Say again. I didn't hear that. What?
City of Irvine and it doesn't indicate that there is a local vegetation management ordinance. So I'm just curious where we get that information from to confirm that.
Okay, let me go back. Sure. Here. So here is Irvine. All right. Here is the local vegetation management ordinance right here. So
Okay,
every city and county is subject to a local vegetation management ordinance. Irvine, maybe the city of Irvine doesn't have it, but it defaults to county. San Francisco does not have one. And the reason for this is let me explain to you the philosophy behind this. As Americans, we don't want the government showing up on our property ever, unless there's a fire happening and we need the fire department, the government, to come and put it out. There's a crime happening and we want the police to come over and stop the crime. Or we have invited the government to come over. A local vegetation management ordinance gives the government, the fire department, the power to come onto your property if you have not invited them, right? So the county of Orange, the Orange County Fire Authority, has the power to come onto this property on Golden Eagle in Irvine. Let's say the owner is a hoarder. And I mean, I looked at this property online. It's this, $15 million property. I don't think they're a hoarder, but they might be. So let's say they've got piles and piles and piles of garbage in the front on their porch and all over the place, and nobody can get in or out. It's a fire hazard for the whole neighborhood. So a neighbor can call the Orange County Fire Authority and say, I am very concerned about my neighbor who is elderly, perhaps. I'm concerned about her safety. I'm also concerned that if a fire happens on her property, the whole neighborhood is going down. The Orange County Fire Authority, because of the local vegetation management ordinance, has the power to come onto Golden Eagle and abate that nuisance, of course, after they've given a notice. After they've notified the owner of Golden Eagle, hey, this is a fire hazard. If you don't get rid of that stuff by July 1, we're coming and we're going to do it for you. The local vegetation management ordinance gives the government the power to do it. What the Orange County Fire Authority does not require is that, so Orange County Fire Authority requires absolutely the seller to schedule the defensible space inspection. So the seller is the only person who has the power to invite the government over, and the seller's agent, because the seller's agent is working with the seller. So the seller or the seller's agent has the power to invite the Orange County Fire Authority, I showed you the website, to come and conduct a defensible space inspection. So if the Orange County Fire Authority comes over and says, wow, your property sucks, you don't pass, the owner of the property does not have to bring the property into compliance before the close of escrow. That is what Orange County allows. The Orange County Fire Authority and the local vegetation management ordinance state that the buyer and the seller can agree in writing on my least favorite F word form, that FHDS, that the buyer will bring the property into compliance since it didn't pass within 1 year from the close of escrow. And I shared with you at the beginning that in Ventura County, for example, no, the buyer doesn't get a year, the buyer gets 60 days. So the AB 38 is such a complicated scenario, but just know that I am behind you when you have a property ID report. I will go toe to toe with the fire department if they're hassling you. I will help you understand what needs to be done. You are never alone when you have a property ID report. Did that answer your question, Smarty?
Yes, and one other question. What takes place if the buyer does not, within 1 year following the close of escrow, bring the property in compliance or have the inspection?
Nothing.
Okay, good answer.
Well, I mean, sort of nothing.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what the Orange County Fire Authority is going to do next month. Orange County may do something that Los Angeles is doing. Los Angeles is automatically inspecting properties with drones, and they're saying, and what they're doing is they just send you a letter that says you passed, or they send you a letter that says you didn't pass. So it's different anywhere you go in the state of California. But that's what my job is to be on top of these local vegetation management ordinances and to be on top of this information in order to protect you and make sure that the disclosure information you're providing is correct. Because the name of the game is to keep your commission and not get sued.
Thank you. Anyone have any other questions before we let her
Yeah,
go?
you said that the seller has to order the inspection. Can the seller put that burden on the buyer if they both agree to that?
Well, they can. They can if it's agreed upon. But I'm just telling you that I have had so many buyers agents call me up and they say, Mailana, I am at the house with my buyer and we're with the fire department. We're all here and the seller refuses to open the gate and the seller's not letting us come on. I was like, damn straight. Did the seller schedule the inspection? Because let me tell you something, if it were me, I'd be like, go home. I own this property. Now, if the seller and the buyer, or the seller and the listing agent and the buyer and the buyer's agent all agree that the fire department can come on July 1st, and the seller says, okay, in writing, the seller says, okay, I am prepared to accept the fire department inspection on July 1st, then yes, of course, because the seller has okayed it. The seller is the owner of the property. But just understand that it is the task of the seller and the listing agent to schedule the inspection with the fire authority since the seller is the owner of the property. And again, if the property doesn't pass, the seller could say, I'm not doing it. I'm not bringing the property into compliance. I'm not getting rid of those dead trees. I'm not whacking the weeds, buyer, you do it. Depending on where you are, in Irvine, you can do that. In Ventura, you can't. In Palm Springs, you could go to jail if you don't comply with the local vegetation management ordinance. So it's different everywhere. But I got you
Does the
covered.
inspection have to happen during the close of escrow, or can it happen after the sale's complete by the buyer?
In Orange County, the buyer can complete it within 1 year from the close of escrow.
The inspection?
But as Richard pointed out, is somebody coming to the buyer and saying, hey, buyer, you agreed that you were going to bring the property into compliance. Did you do it? No one's doing that because firefighters are the bravest human beings on earth. If you've ever seen a firefighter in action, they put their bodies between the fire and your home. They are unbelievably brave human beings. They did not sign up for this jibber jabber AB 38 nonsense. And unfortunately, they're having to deal with it. So I get it. They're not coming. The one person who has the power to come to the buyer and say, buyer, did you do all that stuff? Did you bring the property into compliance? Is the seller, because the agreement is between the buyer and the seller. And the only people who can enforce that agreement are these two people. And the fire department also. They can come and say, we inspected this property last year. You haven't brought the property into compliance. But I haven't heard that happening yet. So.
Well, Mailana, that was excellent because this is a very complex situation. I can't thank you enough for your time.
It's my pleasure. It's good to be with you. Thanks for having me. Remember, give your property ID and nakedhouse.ai orders to Christina. She's right there. She's lovely. And Christina is going to email me your email addresses and I will email you all this information. For those of you who are on the Zoom, please send your information so that I sent you my email address so that I can email you too. Thanks for having me, guys. Good to be with you.
Mailana, we will get you I don't think we got the 20 million, the certificate of insurance last time. Did we issue that to you guys?
I don't recall seeing that.
Yeah, okay.
Christina, you're going to have to send me that information, okay?
Okay, yeah, I will.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Anything you'd like to add to that?
So I'm Christina, I am the sales director for Property ID. So I'm your rep, local rep. You guys can call me anytime on the weekends, evenings, answer my phone. If you have a listing, Mailana's amazing. She'll answer her phones as well, even when she's on the road. And we have a whole team, like she mentions, of dedicated experts to assist you. So you guys can focus on your business. I know it's a lot of information, with the fire and everything, but just know that we're here for you. So you guys can focus on, again, on your business. And how exciting is a naked house, though, right?
Yeah.
That is like, we were so excited people are like, wait, what? So, and the beauty of it, we want to make it available to you guys so you guys can get those listings and win those listings, right? So you don't have to pay for it until the close of escrow, not you pay, but pay through the close of escrow and order it with your property ID report. So that's a great bundle because the report itself is $99, the max report. The naked house is $139, but if you order them together, like she said, it's $199. So it's a powerful tool, and I've seen we were noticing some of the pictures of the houses kind of look the same style. So we were asking our guy, can you tweak it a little bit? So now they're coming out a little bit different. I had an agent that had some listing vacant land in Temecula, and they did this beautiful Spanish style home, and just amazing. And another agent asked for mixed use because the property was mixed use. So we did some stuff like that. So yes.
Thank you,
This
Christina.
proposed expansion or ADU, when it's done, let's say in Irvine, is it in compliance with the local zoning and regulation?
Is the report in compliance?
Yeah, like what is proposed, what shows your whole house potential can be?
Yes.
Is it in compliance with the city?
It's
zoning
straight from the, yes.
ordinances and the HOAs and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, the
Because they have their
HOAs, I
own
don't think we do
rules.
condos or things like that, because the condos have to, someone asked about a condo, we don't do condos.
Homes in, single detached homes in Irvine, as far as I know, they all also, 90% of the homes in Irvine have HOA to single detached. I just wanted to make sure what is proposed, let's say, okay, you get the report, you say, oh, okay, this is great, what I can do. But once you hire an architect to do, or engineer to do all the reports or plans, you take it to the city, for example, any city in Orange County. They say, oh, too bad, you can't build that.
Someone was asking about, so your question is like the liability saying, hey, you gave me this report and it's saying that you can do this or that. Well, we're taking the responsibility. So property ID, naked house, Mr. Feiderman, it's part of their responsibility saying, but the report is, from what my understanding, is 100% accurate. 100, all the codes, I don't know if you saw.
It follows all the code and
all the codes are in there for ADU, junior ADU. I don't know if you saw the height limits, everything is detailed in there.
I
As
would
far
say
as
it's not drilling down to the HOA level.
Yeah, not the HOA, yeah.
But the city level.
Yeah, city level. So for example, if you were to buy the house and go to the city and go, what can I do with my property? You're gonna get one answer in the morning and another answer in the afternoon.
Right.
So this, you can bring the report and say, this is my property rights, this is what I wanna do, and go from there.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
What's the best time for, say, if you are a buyer's agent and say, I wanna, offer for this property, is that the moment that I buy that? Or what about if the
You mean the naked house or the NHD?
The naked house, for example. The NHD is when we are in escrow. But what is the best time? If I am a buyer's agent, say, okay, go now, because we want.
You can show, if you go take them to find a house, you can order a few of them to see the potential of what the property rights are.
Or it's better
I would
for the-
assume if they're prepared to write an offer and they want to redevelop this property,
Yeah.
maybe that's the time you consider ordering.
Yeah.
Instead of going
If-
forward, getting an escrow and finding out that what you want to do with the property is unavailable to you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're talking to your client to find out what they want to do. So if you want to maybe push them a little bit more, they need a little more encouragement. This is the potential that it could be. This is what you could do. You could build a yoga studio, dog grooming, obviously each property is different, but it has all the information in there. That's why it's called the good news report, because it's good news. Yeah. It's very exciting. Yeah, very exciting. Yes. Thank you guys so much. There's no charges back there, but if you guys want any, I'll give them to you. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
As Mailana pointed out, one thing, you can actually, when you complete that FHCS disclosure, you can state that the seller or the buyer has an obligation to conform with the requirement after the close of escrow within 1 year following it. But it's negotiable. If you're representing the buyer, you can counter that and say, I want the seller to have the inspection completed and provide me with evidence of that inspection and that it's in compliance. But just because that form is completed in a certain manner doesn't prevent you, if you're representing a buyer, from countering that disclosure and including that, for example, in a request for repairs.
Is the inspection required before close of escrow?
No, it is not a requirement. And that's the other thing. If the inspection is not done within 1 year thereafter, the buyer has the obligation to complete the inspection. But then I answer the question, what takes place if I'm the buyer and I don't do it? Well, are they really checking the county's records to see when the property closed? And did they actually have?
They're still behind, and honestly, we're saying it's not happening yet. We don't know, but it could happen. But as far as we know, there's no one knocking on doors saying, "Did you guys do it? Did you?" Yeah. So not yet. I don't think they have the manpower.
I'm sorry, what?
He might have it and then put it on the market again.
They could resell it, but still, the inspection is not there. It's not a point of sale requirement. At least not here.
Richard, just want to point out that property that I listed, everyone who came through said the fire, what is property insurance, this is gonna blow up into flames, so I just went ahead and part of the negotiation, I took care of it up front while we're waiting. And so now when the phone comes through, I see, we're on top of that, and we've already got it done. There was the tree that was hanging over the pool house, was a couple $100, we had it removed, and now we're in compliance. That's another way to take it.
That's great.
Use it as positive.
That's great.
Outside of your shitty.
Okay. Has everyone turned their cars in? Not one card has been turned in here? You know the answer to that?